The moment is here, you can stop your search. It's Comics by Perch.
Hey everybody, this is Perch. It's always fun when people have ideas for how to help comics. So we have here a completely different business model. It's even in the headline here, a different business model. All right, I'm getting sick of barbecue. I know that sounds like heresy and everything else, but there's a limit, you know. It's funny to me because living up the Pacific Northwest, we dive for some good barbecue, and now living down in Texas, you're like, I like vegetables just every now and then. I don't want to go crazy with it. Just vegetables would be good every now and then. I ordered dinner last night. Was out in a business meeting, and it's like, this comes with zucchini. I'm like, oh, okay, some vegetables. Not my favorite vegetable, but all right. And then they bring this thing out, and it's micro zucchini. This thing was like the little zucchini slices were like the size of a penny, like just tiny, like and there were like 5 of them there. I'm like, this is not vegetables. This anyway. All right, nobody cares about that but me. All right, let's read this mail. It says, hey, Perch, what do you think of this idea? Instead of doing small 22-page drops every month, what about the French approach of doing one big 40 to 60-page drop every 3 months? Cut down on spending on artists, but increase their page rate by letting you do less pages a year. So particularly slow artists can even do like an 80-page comic a year. It's probably easier to convince Greg Capullo to do 80 pages a year rather than 120, 240 pages. If you tell people and get headlines for it by either paying CBR, Bleeding Cool, hell, even Forbes, and you market it, it will sell well. Sure, no, it will sell well. I don't think that's the issue with the plan. But we'll continue. The rest of the money is spent on marketing. Instead of paying a creator every month, you could arbitrarily increase the price by making it seem like premium product with tricks like better quality paper, hardcover, laminate cover, etc. You can still do variant covers, which mean more now, since you can't get a Mike Del Mundo cover every month. You got to wait 3 to 6 months, increasing Mike's profile. You might get the absence makes the heart grow fonder effect there, but who knows? Get him to make a 60-page comic every few years, capitalizing off his increased name and scarcity. I also think the marketing doesn't have to be complex. Just let people know constantly that in a few months you're going to see a Mike Del Mundo book with blah, blah, blah writer. Maybe Scott Snyder. Like, with blah, blah, blah writer or Scott Snyder. Oh, I'm sorry, Scott. That's a male writer. You can't shit on me. Anyway, or something, and you keep getting the word out there over 3 months instead of just relying on one. Get people excited. Maybe you don't completely abandon the normal 22-page drop, but make it 50% of the line or 30% and cut it up like this. 30% goes to regular floppies, 30 to premium floppies, 30 to mini and maxi series. What do you think? So, so as a model, it's not a bad model. You would have to ease into it because the risk with this really comes down to quality. So the fear is that you'd move to this model, but you'd keep the current quality of creative talent. So right now, the big two are really pursuing this cheaper talent approach, where they're able to go overseas or they're going to other regions. They're getting much cheaper digital, pencil and ink in one, done in one kind of digital art, and the quality is just not what it used to be. And so the challenge is you move to this model, but you don't bring the A-list artist talent. And, then you just get slower frequency comics with worse talent. And then you definitely will get the absence makes art grow fonder approach where people will go, you know what, I want to follow Spider-Man. I've got a complete run, but now I have to remember to get one every 3 months and the artist sucks. And I'm out. You'll get that effect if you don't bring really premium talent. So that's really very much tied to making this thing work. I do agree, and you're right, that if you structured a model like this, you would get bigger talent that would be willing to come in and do it. And if you are smart with the economics, you could pay the artists pretty much as they'd make doing a full year of comics, but far less pages and, more quality along the way. I think that this is one of those things where Black Label, I think, probably should have been this initially, where and it kind of was. It's just DC didn't market it well. I mean, imagine if DC had come out and said, look, we're going to do 48-page, 60-page books. You get one every 3 months. Really, really top talent, though, doing this. And when we say top talent, we particularly mean the art. Instead, Black Label sort of became, it stumbled out the gate. They announced a bunch of projects. Several of them didn't happen. And then when they finally came out, you had some that were really top talent, some that weren't, kind of variety. And it seemed unclear of what was going to be Black Label and what wasn't, why the difference. So the whole thing just kind of went in random directions. But the right way to probably do it is start an imprint, say, we're going to do stories like this, make them matter. This is really key. So if you're going to do the French model, there still is continuity. There still is continuous storytelling. So if you're going to tell a big story, it's not a done in one. There's a cliffhanger, then you pick it up in the next one, and you keep going like that. That's a good idea. And companies should try it, start it, see how it goes, and then kind of, slowly take steps forward from there. So I would recommend it. But again, you just have to step into it very carefully. So yeah, I mean, overall, reasonable, good idea. Lots of ways it could go wrong. Unfortunately, the comic industry is really adept at finding ways to, take a good idea and turn it into shit. So, you have to watch out for that. But it'd be smart to do. I mean, you could even see an image. I think the key though is, to sell the format and to get people to move and get comic shops to embrace it. Because remember, a lot of comic shops are used to just comics every month. And if you have something coming out in an infrequent schedule, they struggle to know what to do with it. That's why so many of the bi-monthly comics were an issue for comic shops, because they couldn't digest a publishing schedule. It's like, well, I'm going to order 1 month and it's not going to be in the catalog the next, then it's back again. That kind of stuff you have to get over. So put top talent on it and make it very clear that you're doing an ongoing story, that these aren't like just random annuals. So again, the big two have done a lot to kind of ruin that by doing these one-off comics that, really have nothing to do with anything. And the story is just, you could easily skip it. It won't matter to the character. You have to make sure the readers know this matters to the character, and then it's going to push things forward. But otherwise, I mean, yeah, I think they should give it a shot. I think if it was executed well, and if all these pieces came together, potentially you get something really nice on your hands where you get a business model that's going to be a lot more favorable. You get some really top tier artists who are willing to come in and do, a solid story because it's just better for their schedule. And even over time, I think if you start to stagger these things out, you'll still have a monthly comic on the shelf. It just, you still have a comic on the shelf every month is a better way to put it in this new format. So you still get your monthly fix. You just have multiple titles. And if you do that well, potentially even grow your audience by getting characters that aren't being paid for today, a little bit of extra attention. So all in all, a good idea, has to be executed very carefully. Really, really important that the shelling out money for the big talent happens. And then I think the marketing in many ways is really like, here's what this means to you, meaning a comic shop, something is coming out, it's a different schedule. Here's why it's okay. Here's how you can rely on it is probably your other piece. But anyway, that's what you got. I like the idea. What do you think? Would you buy comics in this format? Is this something you would go for? Let me know in the comments below. Like and subscribe, of course. And thanks for listening.